Hey guys, long time no see, eh? I'm down to one camera right now because we had to reset anything. We had some electrical resets and a couple of storm outages and a couple of things here at the beginning of our thaw. So there's been a lot of things, and I apologize for not being on. But and then there's been a lot of technical things on the back end with a couple of job situations. I'm going to cover a little bit of that with you just to give you an idea of how ridiculous this politics is. But I won't get a lot into politics. I am going to get into the next couple of weeks or months and who you're going to see on here and hopefully who we're going to get in a few other areas because there's a lot of things that are changing right now and a lot of deals that I'm cutting. So I want you guys to be a part of that as much as possible. We're probably going to be filming in the background and posting some things through Carl's site and a couple other things so that you can follow this process once we get it rolling and so forth. And hopefully have a big old bash about it. But let's get started in a couple of things. As you guys know, at the beginning at the end of last year to the beginning of this year, I signed up on to work for immigration control here in Ohio and a few other things. I had mentioned that to everybody. The IMC basically going in and being able to re-register people so that they don't leave their homes and be able to have registered here as ICE and so forth comes in and so forth. Well, all that shit went to a halt. So I've been collecting a paycheck up until last week for doing virtually nothing. I went out on 3 of these, and then politics came in, and we couldn't do anything. So I'm going to rectify a couple of things so you guys are aware of what is really going on. Okay. Uh, First off, other than criminals, nobody is illegally being seized and put into camps. Just so you're aware. Our job was supposed to come in with a tablet and register people and say, "Hey, look, you're not registered. If you can't prove your residency, you can apply for citizenship now. This will prevent you from leaving your home. ICE will be here within the next 24 to 48 hours." We even gave them dates on when they were showing up, just so you're aware. But this wasn't good enough. No, the Democrats had to fuck this shit up. And I'm just going to be very honest about this and very blunt about it and declare a bunch of lies. First off, nobody is being illegally deported except for criminals, just so you guys are aware. And in Ohio alone, we've caught at least 75 to 100 criminals out of 3 immigrant camps and removed at least 15,000 immigrants from here until they registered. Now, so that you're aware of the legal course here, according to immigration law, all immigrants have 30 days to declare citizenship or protest when they are seized. If you take them to an ICE bed, is what they call it, an ICE bed. Just so you're aware, these beds aren't camps, by the way. They're rooms. They're small rooms like this. They have a sink. They have a bathroom externally. They have a bed. They have a television. They're allowed to come and go as they wish. So they very rarely get just funneled into what people were making you out to believe for years. Now, there is a cage environment where they come in and they sit there for 24 hours and then they go out to these ICE beds, right? Which are big facilities that have 1 and 2 bedroom rooms. They very rarely separate the children, like they're telling you. All of that is a line of bullshit a mile thick. And I know because I had to get the training and I had to get the videos and so forth to see this. Now, have I been to one of these? No, I haven't been to one of these, but I have seen the videos. I have met the people on the Border Patrol. I have talked to these people who was a part of me getting hired into a job that I cannot do and now don't have because of these Democratic bullshit assholes. In addition to this, that 30 days gives you plenty of time to apply for citizenship, contest your case, and if you don't have a criminal background or any background, you are allowed to stay in the United States of America. If after 30 days you are not approved, you are sent back to your country and you have another 190 days to contest in that country. Now, it is not our responsibility if that country has piss poor immigration laws and rights at that point. So the only way you are removed from this country, uh, even after you apply for temporary citizenship, is if you have an illegal background. Now, this illegal background can be any illegal event from prostitution to theft, all the way up to terrorism. Okay, so it can be a number of different things, most of which we still allow to happen except for specific events. Yes, I see you, Cat. No, you're not coming up here. Um, except for very specific events. And some of those specific events are, for instance, child molestation, rape, murder, killing, or terrorist activities. And we have deported a bunch of people for it with a bunch of idiots saying it's not fair and they need due process. Here's the reality of immigration law, guys. Anybody that's an illegal immigrant does not have due process. There is no such thing as due process for somebody that comes in illegally, period. Okay, that is law. Regardless of what any judge says, that is law. There is no due process. Ironically, these same judges are getting belly backed with money to go against Donald Trump when Donald Trump has the fourth right to declare anything according to constitutional and legal law when it comes to immigration. And they're going back and they're stating, well, it's because he used a very rare thing that is designed for on soil invasion. And he declared this because these aliens aren't invading people. We invited them in. Well, Joe Biden did invite them in. He did give them papers right off the bat without double checking everybody. And to be frankly honest with you, his whole office needs to go to jail for that. But that's beside the point. They are being looked into for violating the law right now. I can say that. And some people are going to go up on charges for that, just so you guys are aware. You're going to hear about that in the next 2 or 3 months. So be prepared for it. Just so you are also aware, I know all of you are thinking, ooh, all the Democrats and all the politicians are going to go to jail too. That's actually not the case, okay? Dodge did find several organizations, including the FBI, that did illegal activities, refunneling money into their own accounts for parties and ISIS and so forth. And you're going to find out all of this. And some people are going to go up on charges on all this, but you're not going to find politicians like you think going to jail, just so you're aware. It's just not the way it works. And most of these politicians are billionaires and millionaires. And when you have that much money, you don't go to jail. You just don't. They're going to get away with it. I'm sorry. That's the way it is. But you need to be shaking the people's hands, because you are going to see governors go to jail. You're going to see judges go to jail. You're going to see heads of departments go to jail. And you're going to see money returned back to the people in this process. And that's what it was all about, to prevent it from happening again. If you can cut if you can cut the limbs off of the serpent, the heads may grow back, but it makes it harder for them to steal the money off of you. Okay. And that's the ultimate goal that Donald Trump and his offices and the FBI and everybody are working for. You can cut the head off the serpent, and the serpent will just grow another head. Just like Hydra from the comic books. Cut one head off, another head grows. Cut another head off, another head grows. Terrorist activity has always been that way, as an example, for years. But if you can cut the flow, the money going in, the smaller people, and catch the funds and make sure it doesn't happen again, then it doesn't matter whether another head grows. It makes it tougher for that head to do anything in the first place. And that's the ultimate goal here. So I know a lot of you are saying, I want these people, oh, they're going to be accountable, Chris. They're going to be accountable, Chris. They're going to be accountable, Chris. No, they're not. That's not the way politicians work when you make a lot of money. It's not the way billionaires work when you make a lot of money. How many billionaires have you actually seen held accountable? I can count them on my hand. One, maybe two. And that's because they fucked up so bad they didn't have a choice in the matter. And those, by the way, served very little time in jail because they had billions of dollars. Politicians are the same way. How many politicians throughout 50 years have you seen held accountable for anything? One. Hell, Bill Clinton's still running around. And did you actually see Richard Nixon serve any time in jail? The answer is no. Richard Nixon did not serve a day in jail. Now, the good news about this is, just so you guys are aware when you replay this, these politicians that are caught in this mess that you do have links to, if you can disgrace them, they'll never be in politics again. So that's a plus if it happens. So be lucky that you're going to see judges, and you're going to see heads of offices, and you're going to see these other people that are the scapegoats in the first place go down, because that shows that everybody's doing their job to make sure that it doesn't repeat again. And that's what the whole goal was. It wasn't to take down the Democratic Party. It was to take down the ability of doing this shit over and over and over again. And so far, they're successfully doing that, and that's why they're being fought back on. Because, as example, the FBI has over $290 million a year stored back in a fund that they're taking off of you so that they can funnel it back into other places. This doesn't count the CIA, which has probably double that. So they can funnel it back into head parties that they host, and they can funnel it back into illegal activities with terrorist organizations, and they can funnel it into all this other shit you don't know about, but it's your money. If that was put back into your pocket, that would help your Social Security, your veterans benefits, your SSI, your 401ks. That would help everything for you. And it's being misappropriated to be hidden in corners. and we wanted to catch all that. Apparently, they did. Apparently, so far, we'll see. Unfortunately, the Border Patrol thing is almost ridiculous. Look, guys, this guy that got arrested, he was a terrorist. Okay, he did work for an organization that was terroristic. When they say, well, he was afraid to go back to his country, come on. Let's just be honest here. The only thing he was afraid of is when he went back to his country, he was going to spend time in a prison where he was actually going to serve for his crimes and get beaten, abused for it. And to be frankly honest with you, with the crimes he did, he should be treated like shit. That's not our problem. None of this is our problem. Democrats are holding on with a fine tooth comb because they want control and they're going to do everything that they can to keep that control. That's the fact of life. So your job, if you're a real American citizen, is to oppose that at all costs. Otherwise, in the next 4 years, a Democrat's going to be in office and you're going to lose all your rights. And you need to keep in mind that. Now, keep Republicans accountable too. It could go that way. They could have 4 or 5 years or 8 years and they could go the same way. Hold them accountable too. The point is, right now, the government is working to your advantage. Take that advantage and run with it. That's the important thing. Take the advantage and run with it, and do not back into corners and do not bitch about stupid stuff. Now, I'm going to say something that's going to offend everybody. Right now, I'm seeing the MAGA Trump extremists sound just as damn stupid as the liberals. I'm just going to be upfront about it. First off, guys, I'm just going to tell you the truth. Anybody saying I'm spending $2.99 on eggs, you're lying through your fucking ass. You're not. The only way you're spending $2.99 or $3.99 on eggs is if you're buying it from your farmer. Okay. So Trump said something in his last announcements that weren't quite accurate. He said egg prices are down 85%. What he meant was the distribution right and movement is down 85%. It was costing almost 250% to get eggs on shelves. Now it's down 85% and it's back to almost normal, which means if you look in your supermarket, your eggs are increasing. That allows the prices to drop from $8.99 to $10.99 a dozen down to $5.99 a dozen. But the economy is still on an incline. So $5.99 a dozen is what you're going to be looking at right now at average. $4.99 to $5.99 a dozen. Eventually, it will get down to $3.99, and a lot of people are going to buy from local farmer markets, which is the idealism in this, by the way, with the tariffs and so forth. Buy and produce off of your local farmers. I'm even a part of that this year. I'm going to be setting up booths for fresh fruit for farmers markets. I grow my gardens. I still have a big garden out there. We're going to show you a couple of unique tricks because I'm growing garlic this year. I'm growing ginger this year and a couple other things that you can do in your home. We're going to be filming that now that I've got everything running, and we're going to show you the progression of my garden now that we got things running. But you need to live in reality a little bit, okay? And let's talk about fuel prices as well. Okay, so everybody's saying the fuel prices are down. And for a little while, those fuel prices were down. And that was because of Donald Trump coming into office and the current fuel market coming back into office and the oil rigs opening up to drill and so forth. It is now going back up because the Democrats fighting policy. So a lot of gas stations are not going to be at $2.89 a gallon. If they are, take a picture and put it on your social media page. Gee, you got lucky. Right now, our gas price is at $3.29 a gallon. Now, the good news is diesel, which used to be through the roof for most transportation and most trucking, has went down to equal premium for the most part, which in the history of fuel has virtually never happened, by the way. So I'm paying $3.29 a gallon for unleaded, and diesel is also $3.29 a gallon. Okay, for premium, not the top of the line, not the bottom of the line. Bottom of the line right now in the state of Ohio, in my particular area, is running about $3.19 a gallon. It was at $3.09 a gallon. And in a few places, you'd find it at $2.89 a gallon. But then the arguments started to go up, and the Democrats are pushing it and so forth. And you're going to run into that. Let's also talk about these tariffs a little bit. Okay, so how tariffs work, and I've already explained this, so I'm not going to get into detail, is when they first start to negotiate, you're going to see the rarity of some things coming in and new things coming in as well. So Trump negotiated with Walmart and several other stores to keep the stores running because they were super paranoid, right? They're still screwing you in your ass. Let's give an example from the local Kroger store up here. Kroger store's telling you they're giving fuel points, but pay attention to those fuel points, ladies and gentlemen, because they're not giving the fuel points. They're knocking 3 cents off a gallon, and they're still charging you the equal amount, jacking up the gallons to the legally allowed price by fuel standards. What do I mean by that? Democratic companies and overseas companies like BP and several other companies have a window of what they're allowed to mark up to legally at any given time. And that window usually averages from 75 cents all the way up to $1.89. Most of these liberal companies and these liberal fuel stands, you'll notice if you go to a non-liberal one, which is a lot more rare, you're going to find a lower fuel price because they're not marking it up that 75 cents to $1.89 because they want you to go against Donald Trump. They want you to believe the fuel prices have risen when they could be selling it at 289. They're going to sell it at 389 anyway because they legally can. These are the things you guys don't know. Okay. So when you're seeing social media preach the fuel prices aren't really going down, they are actually going down, but the liberal companies still have that $1 markup that they could do. So if it goes down to 289, they're still going to charge you 389 because they want you to be against Donald Trump. And they want you to be against the Republicans right now, and they legally can do that. And they're controlled overseas. So they have the right to do that whenever they want to. Now, usually you don't see that large of a markup because you also have other things to take into consideration, like winter months, holiday months when there are more people on the roads and all this other stuff, right? That's when you see things jump and go down. They jump and go down, they jump. That's what that 75 cents to $1.29 markup is supposed to be for. To cover those weird little economical boosts up and down where more people are using fuel and you still got to truck the same amount in, yada, yada, yada. But it can also be used in situations like this when we still have plenty of reserves and we have plenty of tanks full, but you want to control politics. So you raise the price of gas to make the politician look bad. Okay. And this has happened for years. You just don't know it because you don't pay attention to it. You don't look into all these rules and regulations. Once you start doing that, you start realizing, By the way, we don't have very many food shortages right now, and though China is being debated and your cheap products are down, there are warehouses in Walmart warehouses, just so that you're aware, full of product, but the shelves aren't full of product. Have you ever wondered why? Because if they put the product on the shelf, then you're not scared. If you're scared and you read social media on the website over here, and it says that tariffs are hurting everything and we can't stock our shelves, then you believe the shelves aren't stocked because you're walking into empty shelves. Welcome to COVID 19, which, by the way, I toured warehouses out of curiosity under the option of work jobs, lying about the jobs, and found that Kroger's and several major food chain warehouses were loaded full of shit. Loaded. There was no toilet paper shortage. There was no meat shortage. They were loaded full of shit and told they couldn't ship it out to the stores. That's pretty weird, right? When all the trucks were still running, why couldn't you get it to the stores? Because the image to keep people afraid is more important, especially in politics and money and power. So there's a lot of things behind the scenes you guys aren't aware of that you're being told right now that you're not listening to. Okay. If you listen to everything is being disclosed, by the way, everything in Washington and the Capitol is being disclosed right now. If you sit down and you watch the meetings, they're telling you all of this. But most of you aren't listening. They're telling you this is what's going on and it needs to change because this is controlling the media. It's making people panic. They're controlling the money. They're controlling the food. They're telling you all of this. You're just not listening to it. They're not hiding anything. Literally. This is one of the most open governments in the history of the United States of America. Donald Trump is literally recording everything. He's letting you know every step that they're doing, right or wrong. Now, in 4 years, whether this makes sense or not, we shall see. Maybe the tariffs will fall through. Maybe it'll be the biggest mistake. Maybe we'll go bankrupt, or maybe we'll be richer than we ever were and smarter than we ever were. You need to wait 4 years and find that out. But what you need to understand is right now, they're not lying to you. They're disclosing everything, whether you agree to it or not. They're showing you every step that they're doing. And they're talking about it every week and they're videotaping it while they're doing it. Once they find it out, for you to watch so that they don't, hey, look, this is all fully disclosed. We're not hiding anything. And there's a reason for that. The last time he was in office, they didn't do that. And what did people do? So if you pay attention to all that, you'll understand a little bit more. And I encourage you to do so because there's going to be a lot of pushback. There's going to be a lot of things, but there's also going to be a lot of change that may work to your advantage. I'm only going to be on about an hour tonight, guys, but next week will be 2 hours and so forth. We're going to have some guests that are going to pop in hopefully before this is over with. But let's start talking about some really exciting things that are going to be happening. So at the beginning of winter, there's a new series. I will not disclose the name, but it's going on the Discovery Channel, and it's also going on the History Channel. It's going to be on the History Channel primarily. This is a very important thing to watch. I and several other people will be in this. I'm the minor one, so I'm not going to be in every episode. There's some major people that are going to be in every episode, and it's a full disclosure of the reality TV. So the first 6 segments are all about the paranormal. The next 6 segments are about other reality TV shows. And some of these are going to be major stars from these shows that are going to be talking about it. Some are going to be people like me that you saw on the shows every now and then, but we're behind the scenes working on the filming, the editing, making sure that people were actually in their spots or their slots, getting in the right spots that were marked for them, which you couldn't see the marks, making sure that the right lighting was in the background. There's a lot of things you didn't know about reality TV that you thought were real, including all the way down to the gadgets that now you're going to find is disclosed, just kind of like the masked magician, and tell you the truth about it. There's a reason behind that, by the way, because reality TV is starting to climb downwards, right? It was on a big incline, and everybody loved reality TV. Everything from The Bachelorette to Survivor to the paranormal to you name it, everybody had a reality show, right? Teen Mom, Honey Baby, everybody had a reality TV show. But it's hit its perk, and now reality TV is starting to go downhill. And people realize that reality TV isn't exactly real, but they didn't really get the gist except for a handful of shows that were on reality TV stations that would talk about how things really work. Now you're going to get to some disclosures with the History Channel, and you're going to get some people talk about it that went through these experiences on the positive and the negatives, and on the goods and the bads. And you're going to hear some things about people that you're just not going to like. In the paranormal, it's going to disclose some things on both sides of a coin that a lot of us that have been in the paranormal for a while, we know it because we were a part of a house that was a part of this guy that filmed here that was on a TV show or this or that. We heard the rumors. We may have been there. We may have met them, things along those lines. And some of these are good guys. Some of these are bad guys. Okay. But you're going to hear about that a little bit, and it's going to be disclosed. And I encourage you to watch it. The next thing, and then I'm really excited about this, is Joel Myers. That's right. Joel Myers is coming out of the cracks if everything works right, but he's not coming out of the cracks for the paranormal, even though we are going to do some ghost hunting. He's going to be going into a little bit of a new adventure. And I've been in the process of negotiating that adventure to try to get him some more backing and funding. And he's going to go on he's first off, he's going to start filming some of this on YouTube here recently. So we're going to set up a channel for him. We're going to work that out. He's going to go on a little adventure visiting these places before he does it. And then I'll allow him to promote it during that period of time in his own way. So once that channel's up, if everything works well, pay attention to it because there's keys in the adventure for him going against another important figure that has been on TV and reality TV that's worked with big people. And it's a whole kind of competition and adventure on who's going to find things first and who's going to do things first. And I encourage you to watch that. We're going to try to get it on Netflix. We're in the process of trying to get it backed by several major investors now. And then we're going to start shooting some pre-pilots with him on the road with his camper, visiting the places and talking about what he's going to do and what he's hoping to do and things along those lines. It's going to be very exciting. It's going to be very interesting. And I think you'll like it. I do. I think you'll like it. I am proud to announce that NICAM will be coming out from the ashes under a new brand that he is working with, which is a good thing. This will depend a little bit on Terrace when it launches, but it is a camera that is still using the still concept of the radial lenses, screw on, screw offs, different colors, different spectrums, It's going to be fully night vision and fully switchable, as opposed to having to worry about putting a night vision lens on or pressing a button or so forth. So it's going to be fully interchangeable with, it'll automatically do it, in other words. So we can start from day vision going to night, and it'll kick into night vision if you programmed it to do that. It is every bit as strong, capable, and uses the same technology as the GoPro cameras. It will be half of the cost. It'll have its own special packaging. There will be a full website for it, as opposed to GoSite.com, which was having trouble updating. And there'll be a full manufacturer warehouse for it eventually, so that you can order these in mass. So welcome to the new Nikam, the new age of Nikam. And it's going to target market a lot of different areas outside of ghost hunting, guys, because these cameras can be used for live action filming. They can be used for a lot of different things. They have many, many different methods, and all the glitches have been worked out with this new camera. So, in all of you that have purchased Nikam in the back and you may have had some wireless issues, battery issues, so forth, all of that has been rectified. It's all been tweaked. He's been working on it for an extra 6 or 7 months in the dark to make sure that you have the perfect action camera at the lowest cost possible. And if everything goes well with these new manufacturing rights, maybe even we'll get an American manufacturing area so that we can just build it here and get it taken care of for you. But that's a whole other story that's still in the works. So I am proud to tell you that that is coming on. Truth or Legends into your hometown just reached all avenues of social media. Pay attention to it, and it went international. So congratulations, Gavin Kelly. After you replay this, you've worked your ass off for it. You deserve it. I was glad to be a part of helping produce the first couple episodes for you. I hope it continues. But make sure that you guys work on that as well. And I am proud to announce that I am starting my own PR company this year. So those of you that are inspiring on figuring out how to get into film fests, figuring out what to do properly, how you promote yourself properly on social media, whatever that need is for an agent or promotion, you're going to see a website put up. I encourage you to contact me. I do have links to virtually every television network. I can tell you how to promote that. I can tell you how hard it is. I can tell you how to put together your pilot. I can tell you how to do that. I can tell you how to promote, what festivals to enter, whatever you need to do. I can help you through that process and get you connected to the right people, because that's what I do. That's what I've been doing for a long time. So I'm proud to announce that that is coming up, and I want you to be a part of that. We might even film it, believe it or not. I might even put some cameras in the background, and who knows, you might be that next reality TV star. And if you're that next reality TV star and I'm filming you trying to be that next reality TV star, that's some cool shit, right? I wanted to do more politics this year, but the problem with politics is it's not going to go anywhere. As you're noticing, we're stuck in a stalemate. That stalemate is going to continue throughout the next 4 years. There's nothing we can do about that. We knew a stalemate was coming, right? We knew that Donald Trump was going to go after people. We knew people were going to go after Donald Trump. We thought maybe there was going to be another impeachment. Some dipshit that they chose to be an ass pansy decided to declare an impeachment, but it's never going to happen. We knew all this stuff was coming, though. We just didn't know why or how. Now we're seeing how it's coming because we're realizing the Democrats have lost. They have no guidance. They don't know what they're doing. They're preaching the same thing, and they're tying it up as much as possible so that they can win those electoral votes and those other votes and so forth to gain back seats and hopefully get the power that they have. That's going to continue for the next 4 years. Really, to be frankly honest with you guys, there's a lot of shit that's never going to get done. It's just going to be one court battle after another, after another, after another. We're going to get frustrated if we pay attention to it, and there's not a damn shit. There isn't shit we can do about it. Okay. Now, the flip side of all of that, so that you're aware, contrary to what everybody's saying, your Social Security is not going to get affected or hurt. Your Veterans Affairs is not going to get affected or hurt. Your SSI is not going to get affected or hurt. That's not the way it works. There's absolutely nothing wrong with narrowing it down to correctly identify you. There's nothing wrong with narrowing it down to make sure your paperwork's and your I's and your T's are dotted. And there's nothing wrong with cutting a bunch of offices, to be frankly honest with you, that have 5 fucking people in it, but they have 32 seats sitting in the corner somewhere and 32 computers doing nothing, which I have been witness to. I could walk you through if I was legally allowed to. Hell, I even filmed one on a phone. I'm not kidding you. A Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, and and Social Services office, where people are supposed to get food stamps and help on a regular basis. And I went back there with my phone on. And did you know there was only one social worker in the whole fucking building and one receptionist? And there were 32 empty desks and 32 empty cubicles. to get told that all they do is process and copy paperwork to send it in, and there's nothing they could do for a case. I recorded it all. I could play it back to you, but if I did, I would actually get in trouble for it. Because the idea of recording all that was to play it back for you. I literally recorded the whole conversation. I had the social worker tell me there's nothing she can do. All she does is scan papers now. You could have done that at the front desk. All I can do is answer your questions and tell you that they took all your paperwork and it's getting sent into a central processing area. We don't do anything here. That office, by the way, in this state is funded for over $120,000 a year to do nothing. So all of that's getting cleaned up. And I know everybody's raising Cain and saying, no, 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 that's not what's going on. We're losing this and we're losing that, but you're not. You're being lied to. If you actually read the bills, none of that's being cut. If anything, that last bill that they were arguing with, by the way, encouraged after the DARP reviews, encouraged after the Dodge reviews, increasing Social Security for every citizen by 20%. And nobody talks about that. Nobody talks about that. That means if you're on Social Security or SSI, you got a 20% increase by next year. But the Democrats didn't want that. No, 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 no. We can't have that. So there's a lot of things that you guys don't know that I encourage you to stick your nose in a little bit more, just so you realize what's really going on here. Because this is going to be argued over and over and over again, and everybody's just going to hit brick walls. And that was the idea: tie up the Trump administration for all 4 years so that Donald Trump gets nothing done. And that's what's going on. Just so you guys are aware, just so you know, if you pay close attention. What was I going to say? I was going to say something else. Oh, I have the great privilege of being invited, and I don't know if I'll be able to do it. Universal Studios just opened up. I don't know if you've been paying attention or not, but just opened up the very first interactive 100% Star Trek experience. They use the original sets from the Next Generation's bridge, the original sets for the transporter, the original sets from a Klingon bridge, all this other stuff. And they just did an opening where you could pay a lot of money. I got invited to that, but I didn't show up because it cost too much money. Even for people like me, if you were a star of Star Trek, you get in for free. But for people like me, they wanted like $1,500, and then you had to fly out there and fly back. But I am going there this summer, I do believe. And I'm going to walk through that. I think we were going to be allowed to film it a little bit. So you'll get to see the interactive Star Trek experience. And you're going to see me sit down on the bridge crew and get to see the actors that are out there. And I think that's kind of cool. We are going to be going to several Comic-Cons this year. My daughter's graduating. Isn't that cool? Even though it's just kind of a pain in the ass. She just went to her first prom and so forth. So we are going to set her up with her very first podcast. And you're going to get a chance to experience her podcast. We're still playing around with that, but right now I think it's going to be mostly for the Comic-Con and the cosplay and so forth. And she's going to create her own costumes and show you how to do that. And then she's going to go out and cosplay with it. And you're going to get a feel for the young cosplay audience and the new generation that does Has Been Hotel, which a lot of you guys don't know about, and Hell of a Boss, which a lot of you guys don't know about, and all these young things that I've experienced because she's a kid, Japanese anime and so forth. She's going to get you into that generation and let you take a look at it a little bit and have a little bit of fun with it. She's been really, really wanting to create her own cartoon series, so I think we're going to work on that. Mine is now finished. I just have to figure out how to get it uploaded properly so you guys can watch it. I have 6 episodes called Paranormal Pops. Everybody in the paranormal, I want you to watch this. I really do. Anybody's ever had a show on Amazon or anywhere, watch it and don't get pissed off, because yes, they were modeled after you. Okay, and it's done that way to show everybody the ridiculousness and the fun that we have. So some of it is punting things with costumes and outfits that, yes, you may see a bit of you in it. Just a bit, just a bitter piece. Hey, man, I remember wearing that hat. Is that my hat? Yeah, it probably is your hat. I remember sounding like that. Is that my personality? Yeah, it probably is your personality, including me. So watch it because it's funny. Okay, it's meant to be funny. It's meant to show our funny side and how ridiculous the paranormal and how dramatic the paranormal can get for no reason. How stupid the paranormal can get. It even brings up a lot of things that us old farts are always asking and laughing about throughout the years, from black costumes and why the hell does everybody wear black anyway? You ever ask that? Why the hell does everybody wear black? And they all look so tough. They all got their crossed arm stands. All that stuff. We're making fun of that a little bit, and it's hilarious. Hopefully, it takes off. I'd love to see it as a cartoon on Comedy Network somewhere along the line, Comedy Central. Wouldn't that be awesome? So we're gonna be working on a lot of different things this summer just for fun. I've had the privilege of kind of stepping back and retiring a little bit, and I'm continuing to do that, even though I had a hell of a cost. We had our electrical system go down in one building, and that's sitting by itself. So I had to spend $12,000 on that, and then right after that, my electrical box in my house went off, all during thunderstorms and shit. And that cost me, and I got lucky that only cost me $900, but $900, and then replacing everything else that went out was kind of a pain in the butt. So I've been down I was sick, and then after the sickness, I had a lightning storm that took all the power out and pretty much busted my call center building. So I had to spend 12 grand on that, and then another $1,000 on the house here. So it's been a hell of a couple of weeks. I apologize for not being in. That will change. We're back now. Um, so I hope you enjoy the shows. I've got some interviews coming in the next couple of weeks. They're going to be fun interviews. They're not going to be what you're used to. They're not political, and they're not paranormal. They're just some old people that I had the privilege of spending some time with throughout the years, and TV are in the background, and they're going to come back in, and we're just going to have a little fun. We're going to talk and catch up and see what's going on. Some of these are bit actors from The Walking Dead. Some of these are bit actors from Supernatural. Some of these are bit actors from a dozen other TV shows and reality TV shows that you've seen from time to time. So you may not, you may not, they may not be big stars, but you may be looking at them going, you know what? I saw that face 3 times. Hey man, that's that dude that was always in the background over there. Oh, that's that guy that got shot in episode 32. All those people that you recognize for a brief minute or two. Or in the case of a handful of people, that was that zombie. Because I got a couple of friends that I've met from The Walking Dead throughout the years that were zombies on the opening season. For instance, Sonia and a couple other people that were zombies on the opening couple of episodes and came back a couple of times throughout the years. We're going to have them on the show. With Supernatural, I don't know if you know much about Supernatural, but there were always people in the background. From Bobby's Junkyard to the famous bar, to the small city town where all the demons took control, and you had a bunch of people that came and went in the same episode, that had 4 or 5 lines and then they died, to sons and daughters of individuals in episodes, things along those lines. A lot of those people are my friends because they started off as makeup artists or whatever else, and you don't get to be friends with a lot of the major stars, but because you're in the background helping out, or maybe you helped build a scene over here, or you worked out a deal over here for somebody, you just get to know these people. Sometimes you just get to know them because they were at a Comic-Con, right? And I do have a surprise before the end of the year on a fairly famous new horror star that never comes out of makeup that often, that's going to do the great privilege of sitting down with us, that has now done not 1, not 2, but 3 classic movies, and went very quickly after the second classic movie to being one of the most well-known faces in horror TV or in horror history. So he's right up there with Jason and Michael Myers and Chucky. In fact, you see his face everywhere, but never out of costume. So because I've known him since the start and the very first movie, and got to know him at a Comic-Con. He's going to be up here in Ohio for a Comic-Con, and we're going to have him on. So we're going to have him pipe in while he's at the Comic-Con, and I'm going to be sitting here, and we're going to talk for a little while he's signing autographs and talk to people and so forth. And it's a great privilege for me to do that because I followed this guy from the beginning, right? So I know who he is, and I'm not going to tell you who he is, but the week that he goes on, I'm gonna run a couple advertisements, and you're going to be like, oh, holy shit, that's pretty cool. Um, so I'm very proud to announce that. I'm going to take a back step a little bit, and I'm going to support an individual that Carl knows and has worked with Carl's network for a number of years, actually, now in the background. But Santiago Cirillo is a friend of mine. He always has been a friend ever since I met him a long time ago in Post Town. He worked as an extra on The Walking Dead. I hate to call him an extra because he really wasn't an extra. He was a part of the cast, but not a part of the cast at the same time, the way a lot of people in The Walking Dead are. They're in the background. They have a few words here and there. You get to know them. You're like, I hope that person gets up here. And then all of a sudden that person dies. And he's got a chance to bring his character back through a lot of hard work that he's going to be filming in. He needs a lot of support to do so. So look up High On Nation and support Santiago Cirillo so that we can have a new Walking Dead cycle and a new television series based off The Walking Dead, hopefully, that will kick off somewhere along the line. In the next couple of weeks, I'm sure Carl will probably put some information down on all that stuff anyway. The next podcast here, if he has approval, we'll put it down on the bottom of the link for a little while and just flash it back and forth so that you know where to find Santiago to support him. But I'm very excited about it because I remember when Santiago started. I remember when he was just a character. You saw the face in the background here and there. Then he comes out of the background for a whole season. He even has some words, and you're starting to get used to this character, right? And then he dies on you before he actually becomes anything major, which happened in The Walking Dead all the time. But I'm kind of excited for him. I'm glad he's gotten this far. He's been writing the scripts and working real hard on it. And he's been throwing it out on social media every day. And good for him because he really is a very talented guy and he's an excellent actor. So I'm proud of the guy. I think it's great for him to do all of that. So definitely look into all of that as well. And I want to do a couple of Q&As here, by the way, guys. So in the next couple of weeks, I know we wanted to have a bunch of people in the paranormal staff come in and talk about things anyway. I think we're still going to do that. Carl has the great privilege on his network, by the way, to house some people that you may or may not be aware of, but you've seen them. But I'm going to give you a background on a couple of them. As Kat is one of them. Kat is not only very privileged to be, I'm very privileged to be her friend. She has a massive background in the paranormal. Okay, so she has been on major television shows. She's been behind the scenes on major television shows, and she's been one of those people in the background that have not only cornered but changed the history of the paranormal where you're not aware of. Okay, so she's met people and talked to people that are phenomenal, right? People you don't talk to every day. And I know she'd say the same thing about me. I don't brag about it. She doesn't brag about it. I've met a lot of people and had the privilege of interviewing a lot of people to change the history of the paranormal. So there's a handful of people on this network, and it's growing every day. Just so that you know, there are other people that haven't had a chance to get in contact with them that this summer hopefully will be getting in contact with them. We've been doing this for over 40 years. That are in MUFON and UFO industry and so forth that he's going to be hopefully getting more podcasts on, and they have their own followings. They're not like me. The only reason I don't have a 20 or 30,000 people following, guys, is because I don't want one. I'm just going to be upfront about it. Everybody else works their ass off. Kat works her ass off to keep that following. I really don't care. I have my radio show. It goes back on this summer again. I'm going to broadcast it over AM. I love it. And in Ohio, a lot of people know me as the asshole of the paranormal and the unusual. And I am, if you ever listen, and I'll give you the radio show, guys, so that you know it. I don't know if we're capable of rebroadcasting on Carl's network, but I'd be more than glad to do it. But my show is kind of the Howard Stern of the paranormal, just so you guys are aware, okay? When I go into the studio, the intent is to get the whack jobs in. The intent is for you to hear the whack jobs and the intent is to laugh about it in most cases. I do get some serious people in every now and then. We have some good conversations. So think it of a cross between Joe Rogan and Howard Stern. Okay, every now and then we get that serious conversation that needs to be talked about. But for the most part, we're getting the wackadoos. The people that claim they were got impregnated by a reptilian in 1992 and they're having reptile babies. Crazy shit like that. And I will call it down, and people seem to like it here. I mean, that's just the way I am. I call everything down. It's who I am. So I've never really cared much about getting past that radio. I'm an old school guy, guys. I mean, look at my face. It's an ugly mug, right? You see the crooked teeth. You see all this. Do you really want to see me on TV all the time? No, I wouldn't want to see me on TV all the time. But I have a phenomenal voice. It carries really well, and I can have fun with it, and I can make fun of it, and I can tell you the truths that nobody else tells, and you're going to laugh about it and shake your head because you're like, damn it, I wanted to say that, but I just didn't have the balls. Well, I'm the guy with the balls. I don't care what anybody thinks. It doesn't bother me. I know that 90% of you aren't going to hunt me down, and I'm not going to get a bullet in the head one day, but I'm going to piss off somebody, and it doesn't bother me. I just don't give a shit. All right, people need to hear it. You need to hear the truth, and you need to hear the reality, and you need to understand the way that is. And if you don't like it, this is not my problem. Seek mental help. And there are a lot of people out there right now that need to seek mental help. I mean, they are really wackadoo, dude. Like cuckoo, bat crazy nuts. All the way around the board. And I think that's from social media disease, politicians, people wanting to control situations, separation. COVID-19 made it worse because now we were isolated. And when you're isolated, you're in your own thoughts. You go batshit nuts anyway. All this stuff has brought United States to its knees, and we need to get back up on it, right? We need to rebuild it. We need to talk about it. We need to get it out there. And we need to get it done. So that's what I do. I don't really care about fame or fortune. Probably should. I make money on my own on that. I mean, I make $5-6 grand a month. That's just dicking around. So I really don't care whether I get 20, 30, 40,000 viewers. But I can tell you guys how to get 20 or 40,000 viewers if you want to join my PR group and become a part of it. I will more than gladly encourage you to do that. I will give you the links. I will walk you through it. I will show you how to sign NDCs to make sure your shit doesn't get stolen. Because I'm going to tell you right now, do not share your ideas of the paranormal in the paranormal world or your shit's going to get stolen. I can guarantee it. I've seen it happen. I've seen creators, guys, of the most phenomenal work in technology get stolen, mass produced, and sold before they could get it out because they shared it. I've seen television shows go on TV that were not their ideas. They were the ideas of other people that never got credit for it. I've seen actors kicked out and replaced. I've seen all kinds of crazy shit because you shared something too soon and somebody stole it and realized they could make money off of it, so they just ran with it. Welcome to the paranormal. That's the way it works. They're going to take it. So I'm going to teach you how not to do that. I'm writing a couple of books about it too that I want you to do. By the way, Paranormal Is It Real is out. It's in Barnes and Nobles. It's been out for 6 weeks. You should be able to go to Barnes and Noble's site and type in Paranormal Is It Real or Not. I did not use my name. It's under Christoph Peters. That's my pen name, just so you guys are aware. But I encourage you to look at that book. I owe somebody on here a free book, but I don't remember who it was. I don't know if Carl ever got back to him or not. But if you're watching, get back to Carl and I'll mail you the free book. And I'm going to start promoting it here in the next couple of weeks. But it's only been out for 3 weeks. So it's fairly new. So I'm going to start promoting the book so you guys are aware. It's the first of 6 books that I'm going to produce, all about different subjects and different content, television-oriented, political-oriented, now that I've been in it for a little while, and so forth, so you can kind of see the reality versus the non-reality of things and get a real context and a real idealism of how things work. So I don't think you guys really understand the. Every now and then you get a bit or a piece that comes out, but I don't think you guys really understand the truth of what happens behind the scenes on TV shows and reality and Hollywood. You just look at it and you think you know, but being an insider that's known some of these people that have done some of these parts, I could tell you some horror stories from places like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, um, Power Rangers. What's another one? Not Supernatural because they didn't really have very many. They did have their own little stories, but not Supernatural. The Bachelorette. There's all these different shows that you fell in love with. Some of these things that you just don't have a realization of how it really works and what really goes on behind the scenes and what the truth is. And sometimes it's really cutthroat and it's dog eat dog out there. I mean, it's dog eat dog. I could tell you some stories about bit shows like Saved by the Bell and Power Rangers that are just awful. They're terrible that you never knew. Um, I don't because I'm friends with some of the actors, um, and I think it's their stories to tell if they want to tell it. Some of them can't tell it because they're dead now, which is a sad thing. Jason David Frank being one of them. God bless his soul. He was a very good friend of mine, and I'm sorry to see that he passed away. And I'm not going to talk about it much because I'll cry if I do. Um, but I just don't think you guys don't quite understand how television and Hollywood works sometimes, and I didn't until I got to know some of these people either, right? But when you become friends with some of these people and they help you through a few things and you realize the trouble that they go through, it's not easy out there in Hollywood and TV. It's just not easy. And it's very simple for you to get promises made when you're young and expect a future, and then that future goes south real quick, and now you're in a lot of trouble at the end of your life, or you're a drunk, or you're a drug addict, or you're consistently fighting a battle of mental illness, um, all because of TV and because you had that chance. And it's a terrible thing. And I know Santiago talks about that in his own little way because he knows a lot more people than me that have went through this. A lot more people. And he's lost a lot more people than I ever will because Santiago's an actor. So he spends time with these people every day. Um, but it's very important for people to understand what mental illness is and how it can hurt you and how tough this is on people and how tough your life can be, and really just wake up, okay, and understand that these people are just people too. They really are, and they make the same good and bad decisions that we all do, and they get taken advantage of from that, and they deserve to have their stories told even when they die. um, by the way, Jason David Frank's story is going to be told. I think they already released some of it on a show that talks about Hollywood recently. I don't know. I think it's streamed on Hulu, I think, but it might be on major networks. So they're going to have a whole segment on behind the scenes on the sad truth about the Power Rangers. And a whole segment of that is about Jason David Franks. I want you guys to watch that a little bit to get an idea of who he was and why he went into his mental depression and why he was struggling so hard. And it also talks about a lot of the other Power Rangers there that you didn't know about. Um, some of them did some very terrible things because of the show and because of how they were treated. One of them murdered somebody, as an example. Another one committed suicide by drugs, as an example. Um, and one of the more famous ones just got hit up for fraud, which I think is unique. And it really surprised me because I hung out with the guy for 2 years. I thought he was a brilliant businessman. But turns out during COVID-19, he filed a bunch of fake bullcrap to collect millions of dollars off of bullshit businesses, which really I was just stunned by it because I spent 2 years hanging out with this guy. We even batted ideas back and forth on business. So it was kind of wild for me to hear that, but I encourage you to take a look at that in more detail. There were some shows that I just watched 2 episodes that they released. I don't know when Power Rangers is coming out. It may have already came out, but I just watched 2 episodes where they were talking about TV stars I've never met, and I'm like, wow, I had no idea that they went through that. But that's kind of trippy. Um, but it'll give you an idea of the struggles and of the importance of why you sometimes, I don't know if you guys realize this or not, but sometimes you just kind of look and say, why are these people in left field? For instance, Alyssa Milano. Yes, I said it. She's going to sue me, by the way, Carl. Just to give you a heads up. You just because I said it, but I'm going to say it anyway. Do not be surprised if you get a cease and desist. I'm going to give you a heads up. There's a whole history behind that. By the way, guys, Alyssa Milano was a friend of mine for a number of years. Now she's not and doesn't even want to relate with me. But you ever wonder why people like her just went all the way out into left field? She was a good girl once. She really was. She's the same age as me. She's a good girl once. But that's why. Hollywood eats you up and spits you out. And the paranormal does too. If you ever get into that reality setting and you have more than 1 year, it'll eat you up, tear you apart. It's a crazy, wild thing. Mark, I'm gonna ask you something. What's funny? I'm just curious. I'll ask you something there. Comment. What's funny? Because everything I said was serious and true. No comment. No comment at all. See, this is the problem with social media, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody can giggle off of things and think it's full of shit, but nobody can give you an answer. I'm just going to be upfront here. Those of you that are giggling, giggle because of my funny thoughts. You can put a comment and say, because you said something was funny, I don't mean to offend you. Those of you that think this is not serious and that what I'm saying is not true, go to hell. You don't deserve to be on social media. This is the problem with people right here. And again, I don't get paid to piss around and I don't get paid to lie about it. One of the most annoying things I ever see is when somebody thinks that they disagree about something, they can click giggle instead of get into a debate. You know what that tells me? If you're not laughing because of something I said that was funny, it tells me you're a chicken shit that hides behind a screen. That's what it tells me. And I'm going to be blunt about that. I hope I'm not offending anybody. I hope I'm not pissing off anything. Maybe you just laughed at something I said that was funny, and that's cool. I like that. But if you're laughing about what I just said about Hollywood stars and why people did this and why people did that, then you're not living in reality, because those people have lives too, and they deserve the respect of understanding that their mental standpoint is that way because they live a tough life. And clinical depression and being abused is not a funny thing. My friend that helped me through depression because he saw me online and got to meet me at conferences because I liked the Green Power Ranger and shook his hand. My friend killed himself because of clinical depression. That's not funny. That's true. So I want people to understand that. I really do. I'm sorry if I'm feeling blunt here, and I'm being blunt here, guys, because the fact of the matter is, whether you believe me, whether you don't believe me, I don't care. Okay. I don't lie and I don't hide. Okay. Everything that I earned on my own. Everything I did on my own, and I did it for fun and I did it for enjoyment. So when I went out and helped build sets, I got paid very little money to do that. I just wanted to hang out and see what TV sets were about. When I went to Comic Cons, when I did shows, I didn't get paid very well. I did that because I wanted to. But there are actors and stars out there that did that because they wanted to actually make something of themselves and got taken advantage of. And it's really not a funny thing to ask if you ever wondered why on anything. Just like it's not a funny thing to realize that you're being taken advantage of in politics and otherwise. So I encourage people to actually open your eyes up a little bit. And no matter how much you want to laugh about what I just said, realize the reality that's around you, because everything I just said is not only 100% true, it's right. And if you want to contest that and you think that's funny or you want to argue about that, come on my show and let's have a debate and let's see who wins. If you're right, I'll come back and I'll say, yeah, you're right. And if you're wrong, you're going to lose. And I'm going to warn you ahead of time, I'm a very smart man. So you better be well educated and well prepared for it. I'm sorry, guys, but the one thing that annoys me, unless I'm joking around, is things like a laughing emoji for no reason. And I will get very blunt about it because the one other thing that's out there is called social media disease. Now, there are several books that have just came out on it. There's several psychological books that are going to continue to come out on it. In fact, I actually helped interview on one of those, got paid decent for it, where psychologists have realized that social media is a disease that is developed. And the disease is an egoism disease, right? It's kind of like Donald Trump disorder and all these other things. People feel that when they sit behind a screen, if they disagree with you, they can either A, bully you, or they can B, do things like click on a laughing emoji and think that that's okay. I've been guilty of that myself. But what they don't understand is sometimes if you don't understand the whole situation and somebody just told you the 100% truth, clicking on that laughing emoji because you're living in your fantasy world doesn't do anything but feed your illness. And social media illness is a really terrible thing because people will bully you, they will gang up on you, they will pick other people that are just like them to come after you. No matter how much you try to tell or retell your story, they will find a reason to pick at you. I have even seen people create whole videos to debunk and destroy you and think that that's okay. But think about what would happen if it was you. What if you were right? What if you were telling the truth and somebody consistently attacks you and laughs at you and creates videos where they cut little pieces to try to say that you're wrong? Is that good for you? Hell no, it's not. That's why I quit the paranormal. Why do you think I haven't been on a paranormal show in 2 years, except for a handful that are coming out this summer and this winter? Because I got to tell you, some of you people out there are just nuts. And no matter what you do, you're always going to be faked or proven wrong or told you're wrong or told you're lying. God help you if you defend somebody. God help you if you defend somebody because there's going to be 20 people that go after you over here. So when you do find out somebody's wrong, you have to back it up so ridiculously that only a handful of people get it correct and get the right people on the right podcasts to be able to prove it. And nobody wants to hear that truth. They just want more drama and more drama and more drama and more drama and more drama. And it's the most ridiculous bunch of bullcrap that I've ever seen in my life. I have seen good people fall apart because of it. One of my best friends fell apart because of it in middle of success. You want to talk about what can cause clinical depression outside of Hollywood? Well, social media, Facebook, and Twitter, especially in the paranormal, because all you got to do is screw up once, or not even screw up, just to have somebody think you screwed up. Did you know that my debut 11 years ago, the week I went on television, that a nutcase with a paranormal magazine immediately came on after I was in a joint interview with somebody overseas, overviewing everything, and said that I claimed that I was a demonologist and a psychologist and led a crazy guy on who needed to seek mental attention and attempted to commit suicide the next week. You know, all of that was not true. And I had to get a lawyer for it. The week I went on TV the first time. And I had to get a lawyer for it because what happened was this paranormal team thought this gentleman was crazy and had all the medical documentation, but they had him on the line. They needed to calm him down and see if he needed help. Well, I went on the line and I talked him down by basically doing what I was taught to do, which was to tell him what he needed to hear to a certain point and to lead him until the authorities could get there with a mental health advisor to help this gentleman because he literally sounded like he was going to hurt himself or somebody else. He believed he was possessed by demons. In the background, I literally told these people I can't do much but keep this guy on the phone. You need to get the police in. You need to get a doctor in. This person is obviously mentally unstable. There is no haunting here. There are no demons here. And this is way beyond me. So the only thing I can do is keep him on the phone. Call the police and let them know what's going on. They had already done that. So I kept this guy on the phone to keep him alive. This is a true story. They were in England and I kept this guy on the phone to keep him alive. The police got there. The social worker got there. They saw that he was mentally distressed and they put him in a hospital. Now he's better, by the way. And years later, several times we'd have conversations and he's thanked me for keeping on the phone. And he admitted and understood 100% that nothing I said was to do anything but keep him alive. But that man in that magazine posted it all over social media along with my face and my wife and her disability. Tried to see if I had a criminal background record and I was lying on anything, but couldn't find anything and tried to tear me apart. It was my first cease and desist in criminal case against somebody. My next situation ended up after helping Gavin Kelly, which is a friend of mine, film. And Gavin Kelly had separated from the gentleman that had filmed him, which is a terrible filmography guy, by the way, but he's a good editor. I won't mention his name, but he decided he was going to tear us up before we could even set together a company called Generation Truth, which was backed by several major people at the time. And he called all of my associates, along with this girl that he was trying to get in her pants for. And he harassed me on Facebook, and he still does from time to time, saying Chris is full of crap. He called the university I went to school with to try to prove I didn't go there. He called the local police offices to see if I had actually been a detective somewhere along and worked with them. Of course, they can't give you that information. And he expected all of this to not get back to me with people calling me going, hey, who the hell is this guy and why is he calling me? He called locations and gave them stories about me so that they would prevent me from going in to try to ruin my career. He teamed up with another girl, I will mention her first name, named Cindy at one point, who hired a private investigator to drive around following me for 2 weeks in my own town. Until the day I gave her $200 in cash and said, you can stop following me. You're not going to find anything. And tell them I said, just leave it alone. This is starting to piss me off. That doesn't count a group of people who thought they were gods because they hung out with Tennessee Wraith Chasers. By the way, great guys. Tennessee Wraith Chasers are awesome. Mike and the crew are just great guys. That hung out, that thought that they were going to be the next big thing. That when they realized they weren't getting back by Joel Myers, threatened Joel Myers' family, and then decided to call my wife on her cell phone and threaten our family. This is how ridiculous this drama gets. And this is just behind the scenes. This doesn't count all the way up into actual paranormal TV, which I've been glad enough to stay out of for the most part, even though I have friends in it and I know the truths. I've been glad enough to stay out of. Can you imagine when you get bigger? So I'm sharing this with you guys because you don't quite get out there what reality is when you start dealing with this stuff. I'm not sharing this because I'm lying. And I get very offended when people don't go on live streams. If you think I'm funny, you'll type and you'll say, I think you're funny. And you put a giggle up there because you think I'm lying to you and you think this is funny. Well, here's a news flash. You got your chance like everybody else. Come on and confront me. You think you're so big? Get on. This is an open show. I tell Carl this every week, and I tell everybody that every week. If you have a different opinion and you think you want to debate properly, come on and debate and prove me wrong. And if you do, I will shake your hand. But here's the thing. How many people have actually came up and done that? You want to know why? Because you're chicken shits. because you know I'm right and you can't prove me wrong. If you could, you would. You hide behind your computers, you hide behind your laptops, and you hide behind your phones, and you think that bullying people, clicking laugh, grouping up with other people just as mentally challenged as you are, and bullying people is the right thing to do. And it makes you feel good for a moment. I got away with this. I feel good. I feel powerful. But you won't do that to our faces. Hmm. You know why you won't do that to our faces? Because old Lucille has a ball bat back in the background with her sister called Nadine with barbed wire, and I'll take that damn thing and whack you in the head. That's why you won't. And that's if you're lucky. You don't know who you're dealing with. And it's downright stupid of you to do it to people. Because I'm the normal one. I don't lie. What happens when you do get across somebody that does lie? What happens if you contact that person that actually is a serial killer? That you just didn't know it. You're an idiot by thinking you're powerful because you're behind a screen. Because you're not. Get control of your own life and realize how stupid you're being. Because you feel powerful by clicking the giggles and by bullying people and by doing all this social media crap. You feel powerful because you can't control your own life. And that's your problem. You're the one with the mentally challenged issue, not me. Sorry, guys. Usually I'm a little bit more lighthearted, but this is something that needs to be said too, because 90% of you out there who have ever had a podcast or a show or had opinion, you've dealt with it over and over again. And you've been bullied and you've been harassed and you've been laughed at and you've been attacked just because you've said one or two simple things. It's my job to say those things, and I get paid well for it. So I don't care. People need to think the truth through. They need to think the reality is true, and they need to live in the reality, not the moment because you want to be somebody else or feel like you're somebody else or can be somebody else because you're online. All you're doing is hurting yourself in the long run by doing that. And you're letting the governments control you, the people control you, the this control you, the that control you. Control your own life. Money grows on trees, people. You just don't know how to cultivate the tree. Cultivate the tree and make the money. You want to be something? That's in your control. Instead of standing there saying, must be nice. I wish I could. Man, I really wish I can. I'd love to do this. Why not say, I'm going to do this. I can do this. I will buy that. I am. This is what I'm going to be. And I'll tell you what, I went from broke to millions and back to broke. And now I'm living stably. Money goes in, money goes out, but everything gets paid just like everybody else because I choose to. And it's all because of those situations, because I'm in control of my own life. I have nothing to lie about. I have nothing to hide. I am who I am. I'm in control of my destiny. And I know that if I fail, it's my fault. And I need to pick myself back up. I need to accept that. And I need to not fail again. Sometimes that takes people telling you. Sometimes you register it on your own and you stay ahead of the game. We all get in the same loops. We all get in the same situations. We all feel bad about ourselves somewhere along the line. We all want to change. We all feel like at one point or another, it's all coming down and it's just day to day and we don't know what's going to happen. So you can let it fail or you can pick yourself up and figure out how to stop the problem. I figure out how to stop the problem. This is what I do. You should too. The one thing I've told everybody over and over again throughout life is I believe in you. You have to believe in yourself. And I do. Everybody that watches this somewhere along the line, everybody that comes in, everybody that comes out, you can be your own success. I believe in you. You just have to figure out how to do it yourself. And you're going to fall and you're going to fail and you're going to learn And you're going to pick up and you're going to fall and you're going to fail and you're going to learn and you're going to pick up and you're going to fall and you're going to fail and you're going to learn and you're going to pick up. And eventually, one of those pickups is going to be where you want to be. And success is different for every person. I'm happy with where I am right now. I have a loving family. I have a garden. I make my own money when I choose to. And that's all I want. And on radio, that's a part of what I do. Now, if you were laughing about that reason for the radio, that's what I do, then good for you, because it is funny. All right. I do corner out the quack jobs and the whack jobs, and I do make fun of them, and that is funny. But if you're laughing about the other half of it and you're not willing to comment on it, that's not funny. And that's my point in all of this. So, Mark, I apologize if I'm harassing you the wrong way, because that's not what I'm coming off of. And if I'm harassing you the right way, then you need to re-register your life, because you didn't comment. You didn't answer. And that's the whole point. The one thing I want you guys to understand throughout all of this process is you are in control of yourself and you're in control of your life, and you can build that life however you choose to. You just have to take control of that life, and you just have to understand that. Do not get into that loop of thinking you can't. Do not get into that blue bike theory. A theory that I put into one of my books and that I will teach you right now is called the blue bike theory. Let's say Carl in the background there monitoring me as my door miraculously opens for no reason. Literally. Say hi to the ghost, everybody. There was nobody that opened that door, by the way. It happens all the time. That means that my energy has just boosted my tiki back there. The tiki opened the door. There's no cat. There's nobody that was in the background. I know you can't see that, but I do have several haunted objects in this room. And the only one that's active is Mama Jamba, which is sitting right there, by the way, aimed right at the door that just opened up. She's facing the door, and she feeds off of energy, positive and negative. So that's Mama Jamba telling everybody hello. So everybody say hello to Mama Jamba. But my point is, you can be in control of yourself. So the blue bike theory, you have a car, right? Your job is 2 miles down the road, and you take that car to the job every single day. But you're looking at this bike. You have no reason to buy the bike. And I say, hey, buy the bike off of me. Are you going to buy the bike? No. If I go, but it's blue, it's a pretty blue, buy the bike. Do you give a shit if it's blue? No. But it has a pretty basket. Do you care if it has a basket? No. But if I take control of that situation, I understand you have a car. I can come back and say, do you realize that going 2 miles a day at $5 a gallon is going to cost you at least 10 gallons of gas every single day? This bicycle doesn't cost you anything, and I'm only selling it today for $129. Now, let's just say you need to bring something back from work. I do have a basket, and it's waterproof. You can put up in the front. Plus, it's going to get you circulation and exercise, and it's going to be exactly what you need to save the money in order to do something else. I bet you there's something else that you want to do in life, isn't there? Do you have kids? Now you're thinking, aren't you? That's my point. Do that in your life. If you hit that brick wall and you can't move that car any further, there's got to be a way to remove the brick wall or get over top of it. Figure it out. If you're at that cliff and it's either fall off the cliff or dive off the cliff and die, or figure out a way across the cliff, build a fucking bridge. Because only you can do that. Not me, not anybody else, not a lottery ticket. Only you can do that. Sometimes you need support with that. Clinical depression is a very serious thing, and thanks to social media disease and misassumptions, perhaps maybe even what I did today by going after Mark, who knows, right? Are all a part of this situation. If you take control of your life, you'll find that most of that goes away. And the goals that you shoot for hit every time. Some people have the simple goal of, I want to be happy in my life and live with my family. Some people want to be millionaires. Some people just want to grow a garden. Some people want to be social media stars. That's up to you. You're the only one that can build it. It's 9:19. I'm going to let you guys off here. I hope you had some positives and some negatives from the situations. We're going to avoid the advertisements. I'm going to be giving Carl a couple more here in the next couple of weeks to start advertising. But stay tuned. Stay happy. Enjoy your week. And figure out one little thing that you can do to get your life a little bit better this week. Even if it's buy a candy bar. Figure out how to do that. And we'll talk about it next week. Have a great night.